going to talk a bit of Formula E and some football now. It's the second race of the season, I believe, and it's going to be on ITVX, 8 p.m. on Saturday night. And you can check out talkSPORT's Motorsports YouTube channel, talkSPORT Driving, for behind-the-scenes videos from the paddock out in Mexico City. And that's where we head now to chat to Formula E driver from Maserati MFG Racing, and indeed big Villa fan, Jake Hughes. Hi, Jake.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We've just been trying to work out the timings of how you can watch the Villa later on today and get your practice in as well. We think the timings work. Is that right?
I think it probably does work. I've had a look myself, to be honest, as well. But I think the engineers will probably have me in an engineering meeting, so I don't think they'll take a fancy to me watching the race during a debrief.
I've noticed that your helmet that you wear, obviously, is in Villa colours, presumably deliberate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, basically, I changed this year I was with McLaren for 2 years, and I've moved to Maserati now for this season. Maserati is very famous for the blue colours, and as you probably are well aware, the other side of football in Birmingham is Birmingham City.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a lot of abuse from my friends and family for wearing those colours. So I thought it's about time I probably show my colours on the helmet.
It's proper blues blue as well. It's not like a navy; it's a proper Birmingham City blue and white as well.
You don't want that.
Couldn't be much worse, could it? Really?
No, you can't hide it.
So, listening to the accent, I suppose you're local. That's why you're Villa. Is it a family thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I was forced to support Villa, I would say, from birth. Everyone in the family's a big Villa fan. Unfortunately, in my life supporting Villa, and obviously an England fan as well, I haven't actually seen any success. So yeah, it's been a struggle in many ways. I think this era now with Unai is probably the best era in my life supporting Villa. I think all the fan base, we very much loving every single minute of it. We love him. He's treated a bit like a god, to be honest. So he's kind of give us our football club back, and hopefully we can win something in the near future.
There is a website called lastwonatrophy.co.uk, and Aston Villa's last trophy was 28 years, 291 days, 19 hours, 34 minutes, and currently 49 seconds when they beat Leeds in the League Cup. And Firestarter by the Prodigy was number one.
There you go.
So there we are.
I do not remember that.
No. You were driving in Formula 2 and you've switched to Formula E. So what was that like? I mean, was it a difficult transition?
Less noisy,
less noisy, I imagine. The ear guards don't be quite as substantial.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing you notice is the lack of sound.
Yeah.
We got used to... We have to wear earplugs in, all through the junior category career. Even before you have radio in the car, you need the earplugs to sort of dampen down the sound. Otherwise, it becomes a bit nauseating. And then you jump into an electric car, and all of a sudden you can hear tyre noise, and you can hear the fans as well, which is a bit of a new phenomenon, which I wasn't used to. So yeah, the lack of noise. But to be honest, as you get driving it and start to push for lap time, and our job is to find the limit, let's say. You really don't notice the lack of sound anymore. It's really quite bizarre. It's been 2 years now since I've driven, or over 2 years since I've driven an internal combustion race car. And I wouldn't say I've missed the sound at all. In fact, like the professionalism in the paddock and sort of what you can get out of an electric racing car through software and things like that you can't get in an internal combustion car keeps you preoccupied enough, to be honest.
I mean, one of the big features, one of the big features of Formula One, etc., internal combustion, is the refueling. Yes, changing the tyres and putting fuel in, but this doesn't apply in Formula E.
Well,
does the battery go the whole way? The
whole pulling in and waiting for 20 minutes and having a pasty while you wait for it to recharge.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny you should say that, actually, because we're in our third generation of car now in Formula E, but 11 years ago, around 10, 11 years ago, when we had our first generation of car, well before I was in the series, the technology in the cars weren't good enough to finish the race. The battery technology wasn't good enough to finish the race on one car. So they actually had two cars. They would come in to do a pit stop, and the drivers would jump out of the car, jump into another car, and then continue the race from there. But yeah, the technology now is enough that we can do the whole race on one charge. We purposely don't start the race with enough energy in the battery to finish it going flat out. Purpose of that is to promote the idea of being efficient and saving energy through the race. But the byproduct of that is a lot of overtaking, like a lot of overtaking, because, you know, if you ever drive an electric road car yourself, you might have heard the sort of phrase lift and coast and things like that. You know, we're forced to do these kind of things to save battery to finish the race. But as I said, because of that, we get a lot of overtaking. Sometimes on one lap, you're gaining 4 or 5 places. On another lap, you might be losing 4 or 5 places. So it's pretty chaotic. And yeah, I think the fans seem to love it, at least from what I can see on socials.
In my wife's electric car,
when
you turn the heating on or the air conditioning, the range goes down by about 25 miles. It's really weird.
I would imagine, Jake, do you put the radio on occasionally and listen to talkSPORT? Is there a danger in that?
No, I mean, sometimes I can take the radio out if I don't want to listen to my engineer, but that's probably not advisable. Or probably for the air conditioning, I'll probably lift my visor and get some air through there. That's
the way to do it. You have double headers, and you know, driving race cars is physically and mentally demanding. So the idea of 2 races in the same weekend sounds pretty full on. How have you found that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing I noticed coming from Formula 2, where we were probably on, like, sometimes we drove 1 session a day. Let's say, like, we would come in at like midday, have a race in the afternoon, and then go home at 6 p.m. or something like that. Formula E, we're in the track at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we don't leave until probably 9, 10 p.m. at night. And then when you say, like you say, when we have a double header, the sort of energy levels in the team, and not just for me, but the mechanics and engineers as well, it's pretty hard going. And then when you include like jet lag, like we'll have here in Mexico of 6 hours, sleep is definitely at a premium. But for me, you have enough adrenaline in the day, I think, that gets you through it for sure.
And funny, you're missing a bit of a party at Villa Park tonight. It's the 150th anniversary this evening. £1.50 a pint.
It's very good.
Which is good, which will go down well with the Villa fans and the West Ham fans, I'm sure. But Villa's record until last year, they'd gone 7 years without getting beyond the 3rd round. They beat Borough last year, but it seems Emery's taking it a lot more seriously. Would you love a cup run, I'm sure, wouldn't you? But, I mean, they are, you know, they're still having to play Champions League. It's a tough old season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'd all absolutely love a cup run. I mean, every time January comes around and the 3rd round of the FA Cup comes around, I don't hold much faith with Villa. Like you say, we haven't gone much further than the 4th round in God knows how long now. And I think Emery doesn't seem like the type of coach that prioritises the cups. I think, as you say, with the Champions League and Premier League, that we're probably, fair to say, struggling to manage that workload at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't envisage going full strength tonight. But I think the other thing that us Villa fans are pretty finding it quite funny in the last few days is our next 2 games are West Ham and Everton, who obviously just changed manager.
Yeah.
So we're feeling a little bit like
that's always annoying when that happens.
Yeah, and Champions League is back in a couple of months as well, isn't it? As you say, so.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if we can somehow manage to prioritise getting through to the top 8, getting through for that top 8 in the Champions League, I think we can avoid 2 extra games in February in the Champions League. So I think Emery's probably playing the long game with that, I would imagine.
Well, Jay, good to talk to you. We wish you well at the weekend in the race in Mexico, and up the Villa. Thanks for joining us.
Up the Villa, boys. See you later.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.